Hey everyone, it's Dylan and Charlie from the Black Forest Wood Company. In this week's video, we're going to show you guys how to make a resin and wood clock from one of our reusable epoxy forms here. This piece actually did happen to be a custom commission, but it was something that we had just poured as a test in one of our forms. So these forms make it very easy for projects like this because all you have to do is cut your wood to size, then they pop right out of the mold and you've just got some sanding and finishing. So we do sell these forms and the resin and a lot of the other stuff you've seen in this video. So we've got links in the description below if you guys want to check that out. But for those of you who just came to watch and enjoy, let's get into the video. So the piece of wood that we're using for this is just an offcut from one of our larger slabs. So the first thing I'm doing is face jointing it on our Powermatic jointer and then sending it through the planer just to clean up all those rough spots. This piece was 3 inches thick rough, so I'm actually taking it down quite a bit. I think right around 2 inches is where we pour it at, just because 3 inches would be a little excessive for a clock. Next thing that I'm doing here is using the Laguna bandsaw just to cut this thing round so it's going to fit in the form. So I just took the piece from the form, laid it on top of the wood, traced it, and now here we are cutting it out. It will end up getting cut down smaller just since this was a little big for our client's clock and we didn't know it was going to be a clock at this point. But this Laguna bandsaw does do a really nice job cutting it round and it's actually our top seller for bandsaws. The next very important step in this process is to fully debark everything on your slab. In our early days of playing with resin, we did a few pours where we left the bark on because it looked cool, but what happens then is the bark sticks to the wood and the epoxy sticks to the bark, so the only thing holding it all together is the bark, that bond to the wood, and it separates very, very easily. So first we pick it off with a chisel, then we use a wire brush, and it gets everything nice and clean, ready to pour. All right, the wood is prepped, so we've got it cut in the circular shape, we've got it all debarked, and then I've got everything I need here right now to put my mold together. So basically you need your wood, the mold, the clamp down blocks that came with your mold, and a tube of silicone. So I've got all that right here. And basically the first step that you want to do is you actually want to secure down your outside piece here. Here's how it fastens together. So we got a little hook here. That's actually the open position. We got that little hook, brings it shut. You can just line everything up flush, and then as you can imagine, that presses in here nicely, and as long as you've got that bead of silicone on the bottom there to squeeze in, this should work perfect. Again, it doesn't have to be a big bead by any means, but you just want to make sure that you have silicone around that whole perimeter. And then there's also this little vertical piece here where they join, so just do a little bead along that, and then you should be good to go ahead and tool everything in. Before I put my pieces of wood in, I'm just going to let this silicone cure up a little bit just so it's, I'm not going to accidentally break my seal that I've created putting these in. So we'll come back in like 20-30 minutes, put these in, and then we should be able to clamp everything down and do the pour. So we'll go 11.5 squared times pi. It's 415 divided by 61 gives us 6.8. So we'll probably mix up about 9 liters here. We might have a little bit extra. We could do some coasters or something with that. Few hits, they should pop out nicely. There we go. Kind of tap. And there you go. So now, there's that little miscut I had. So that's what we're gonna need to cut round. So you could either do that again on your bandsaw, just cut it round again. But since, like I mentioned, this is for the clock and it, sorry, getting distracted guys. And it needs to be cut smaller, we're gonna take this to the CNC next. And I think we're probably gonna end up cutting about 2 or 3 inches off. So just this little bit around the outside. And then we'll get that clock hardware installed, get the numbers machined in, and hopefully our client likes it. So Spencer's just using our Avid CNC machine right now to cut it to size and actually add in the hour marks. Then he takes a palm router and just routes that flush afterwards. Right here, he's using our Black Forest coat resin. So that can be poured to a 1/4 inch depth and it cures in 24 hours. And he's just used a white liquid dye to really make that resin pop out against the rest of the piece. The next step that we're doing here is Ben is applying our Black Forest furniture oil. So if you've been following us on Instagram or even in some of the previous videos, you may have heard us mention this product. It's coming out probably in about a month. We're not quite done it yet. We're just finalizing labeling and packaging. But it's comparable to like an Osmo or Rubio product in the fact that it's oil-based and easy to apply. But we have found that it gives much better protection, in our opinion, than our previous finishing methods. And it also can give a better shine with less coat. So we're very pleased at the way it's working. And like I said, in about a month, you guys will be able to try it too.
Time flies when you're having fun. See, now it's not so fun because time's going so slow. How do you know when it's time to go to the dentist?
How?
When it's 2:30.
So we've got the hardware in now. I'll flip it around to show you. So since our clock is thicker than what would be standard for this type of hardware, we actually had to do this recess in the back to actually sink that clock hardware in deep enough so that the threading reaches through to this side. And another thing I think we had to do was actually trim down the minute hand just because it was a little too long. But that again was very easy to do. We didn't damage anything. And this hardware was very affordable as well. We just found it online. I think we just searched up like clock hardware. And it came up. So very easy to use. If we can find a link, we'll put it down in the description. We're not sponsored or anything by the clock hardware people, but this stuff did work very, very good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. This is the first clock that we've ever made before, so it is a little bit different for us. Usually how these things go though is we make one and then people kind of get inspired by that client who had the original idea and they start asking for them. So if you guys are interested in commissioning your own resin and wood clock, you can send me an email at dylan@blackforestwood.com and I will let you know what you'd be looking at for one of these. And again, if you guys want any of the supplies you saw in the video, like the mold, the resin, or even the wood, check out our website. We've got all kinds of stuff that you guys can shop from. And just thank you guys so much for watching. If you want, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And we'll see you guys in next week's video.